I think that going off to college in a way, starting a new chapter of my life is a way of thanking Kincaid for all that I've gotten out of it and showing that I can put my education and all these wonderful resources that I've gotten here to good use and help others with it.
Hello, and welcome to The Perch, where we highlight authentic voices, expert insights, and meaningful conversation. The Perch brings the Kincaid School's mission to life through stories of education, leadership, and community. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mike Maury, and today we're going to take a look into how Kincaid goes beyond academic preparedness for our seniors who are heading into their collegiate journey. We have a dynamic program called Countdown to College, and Kincaid is readying our students for success at social, emotional, and even daily task levels. Today, we are delighted to welcome two of our upper school deans who work daily with our upper school students, as well as spearhead the important and unique program called Countdown for College. We have Quimby Mott and Norma Villanueva Pierce. Quimby and Norma, welcome to The Perch.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We're also joined by Jack Sussman and Gretchen Merman, two of our Kincaid Class of 2026 students. Gretchen and Jack, welcome to The Perch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So Quimby, let's jump right in. Right after the second semester each year, I know our seniors and all of those who support them really start to focus on the last couple months they have left here at Kincaid. You and Norma are in charge of a very important program that focuses attention on a different aspect of college conversation, and that is not where the students are going, but more so how they're going to succeed once they get where they're going. That program's called Countdown to College. So tell our listeners, if you will, a little bit about the program, Quimby, and maybe when does it start, a little more detail, and why is this type of preparation so important?
Thank you for asking that question. Here's a little bit of history of Countdown to College, which internally we refer to as C2C. I'm in my 13th year here at Kincaid in the dean's office. And when I arrived, the Countdown to College, which actually had a different name then, it was called the Roadway to College, had just started percolating because a number of the deans felt as though they needed some kind of programming in the spring to prepare our students for the next step. We would certainly serve them well in academic advising, co-curricular summer experiences, and of course their college process. And it is something that we hear routinely when our alums come back at how well prepared they are for the academic success. But I also was hearing things like, "Oh, Mrs. Mott, you made Kincaid so easy for me. I have had to go to 4 different offices just to get one question answered."
Wow.
Or I was not prepared for a challenging roommate, or I didn't understand what a social scene really looked like outside of my Kincaid community.
So Norma, I know that the Dean's Office partners with our McGuire Center for Wellness and Success on some of the programming for Countdown to College. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about that partnership?
Sure, I'd be happy to talk about that today. In fact, we just had a Countdown to College session with our seniors this morning, and the topic of the presentation focused on the dangers of fentanyl and the negative side effects that come along with marijuana use. And in collaboration with the Wellness Center, we were able to have Dr. Lomax Bream present information and studies to students about the negative impacts of cannabis use. And we were also able to partner with Ms. Heather Bettis, who is Director of Health Services, to talk more about the dangers of fentanyl and how that statistic has really driven up, unfortunately, the death rate among adolescents in past years, in recent years.
Let's pivot over to Gretchen and Jack, so what are some things that you and your friends are finding useful, or maybe something that made you think, wow, I hadn't thought about that within the program, something you've learned?
Um, in my personal experience, like going through Countdown to College over the past month and a half or so, um, I think that at this stage that my friends and I and my whole class is at in our lives, we're still very inquisitive and very willing to learn new information, but also not always willing to ask. And so I think that Countdown to College has given all of us like a really great opportunity to um, learn and to engage with these topics that we're all very curious about, and we're all slowly realizing that as we transition into adulthood, like these are things that we really need to know and we really need to have experience with.
Jack, what about you? Sort of the same topic.
So I also agree with Gretchen that one of the most special things about Countdown to College is we get to engage in conversations that are sometimes uncomfortable and hard. One of the most intriguing lessons we've had so far was with a previous student at Kincaid. She was a athlete in a all around just like an all-star student at Kincaid, and then she ran into some alcohol problems and kind of walked us through her journey. It really just served as a reminder before for none of us to make poor decisions. It wasn't comfortable, but it was helpful, and we all benefited from it. So
That is powerful. We're talking about the importance of preparedness when you head off to college. Jack, I want to follow up with you. I know you're the editor of The Falcon, our student magazine, and I'm sure you hear from a lot of students. So, what are you hearing? What are students excited about? What are they nervous about? It could be one of the subjects that under C2C, or just what are they thinking about before they head off to college?
So one of the most important things I've found, at least with the people I've talked to, is that they've found a great sense of self at Kincaid, and they've developed values and work ethic, and they would like to retain that as they go on to college. That can be hard, especially when you come from a school that's so small like Kincaid, and you might be going to a very large state university, or I mean, pretty much any college you're going to is going to be larger than than Kincaid. And so in a few weeks, I've been informed that we're going to learn from a UT student, previous alum at UT, about his own experience at UT and how he retained his values despite being a little bit different than his friends. He still was able to participate in Greek life. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I know my peers will as well.
Gretchen, how about you?
Yeah, I think my friends and I have been talking about things very similar to what Jack just said. I also think that as someone who's been at Kincaid since I was in kindergarten, and I know that isn't the experience for everyone, but um, like Kincaid and this community in Houston, these teachers, like they've helped me grow up, and it's been such an important part of my identity to be a Kincaid student. And I've loved it here, and I don't wanna lose that, but at the same time, I do know that as I go off into college, that's another identity that I'm kind of assuming, and, I think just balancing, like Jack said, the sort of values and morals and, ambitions that we've acquired through our time at Kincaid, while also moving on to new horizons, I guess, and call it.
So, Norma, I know you and Quimby have worked with upper school students for many years. Give us some highlights of the Countdown to College program, maybe some that aren't found in a typical class. I know we've talked about a couple that are pretty powerful. Something you've heard from a former student about how this program helped them once they actually settled into their new college home.
Sure. This is my 7th year here at Kincaid, and we've been fortunate to see a number of guests participate in the Countdown to College series. One of my favorite programs happened about 4 to 5 years ago, 2 Kincaid alum by the name of Carvana Cloud and Dejan Banks Hawthorne visited us. And what was unique about their journey is that they are both very successful entrepreneurs. Um, Aside from that, they have other skill sets. Carvana, in particular, is an attorney and is currently serving as a deputy director of public affairs for the Houston Police Department. And Dejan Banks Hawthorne founded a nonprofit that she is now the executive director for called LEAD. But what was powerful about their stories is that where they are now is not where they set out to be. And as we know in this field, right, life happens not in a linear line. It's more of a jigsaw. And what was powerful about their stories is that they jumped from one experience to the next, either through the help of mentorship, guidance, or their own ambition. And it was just really amazing to hear the many professional experiences they've had that have helped shape their outlook on life and what they want to be when they grow up, right? That's the question that we all ask ourselves. And we were so fortunate to have them because stories are powerful, because of what Carvana and Dejan shared to say, learn more about the community that you embed yourself in. Don't just live on the outskirts of it, but really delve in to see what it's about and to see what difference you can have with the people that you surround yourself with every single day.
Quimby, are there other examples of the program now that really lead into or help create something like the example Norma just shared?
I would say the internship program that we have during interim term for our seniors is a great example of that. And in fact, one of our speakers a few years back was Brad Deitzer, who hosts roughly about a half dozen students every year at the Deitzer Group. And his talk was about failure. Because if you actually were to review Brad's CV, you would see the number of failures that he had early in life, being fired from jobs, being put on academic probation at UT, among other things. And now he's a New York Times best-selling author, and just the things that he learned along the way of how to manage failure and find growth opportunities through that.
Thanks, Quimby. So, Gretchen and Jack, we mentioned several parts of the program that help prepare students for their next part in their journey. Is there anything in the Countdown program that you may be looking forward to that we haven't talked about?
I think we're pretty spoiled at Kincaid when it comes to the resources we have, and everything's really accessible, whether that's you need to go to the nurse's office or you need academic help. And so I've been told that in a few weeks we're going to meet with, or the deans are going to be talking about how to navigate the campus and get those resources you need, because a lot of us aren't that used to having to really work that hard to find what we need because it's all in front of us. So I'm looking forward to that.
Great.
Figuring out the bureaucracy of a university is different than figuring out the wonderful environment of the Kincaid community.
Great point. Gretchen, how about you?
Miss Mott had also mentioned earlier a discussion we'd be having about campus safety, specifically with regards to Greek life and student organizations. I think that's really important, what Miss Villanueva Perez said earlier about really immersing yourself in the community that you're joining. I think that student organizations, Greek life, clubs, sports, all of those activities, I think they're very important to sort of finding your community. And so I think that Kincaid providing a resource to learn how to interact with those activities in a safe and responsible way that keeps your values centered, I think that's very important.
We're going to start to wrap up, but I don't want to miss the opportunity with 2 seniors in the room to ask, what are you looking forward to? What are you excited about?
I think for me, especially like starting freshman year up until now, I've really gained so much from Kincaid, like academically, through the arts, through the friends that I've met here, and especially senior year, it sort of brought everyone together in a really special way. Like I've met a lot of new people senior year that I haven't been very close with in past years. And so I think just the fact that Kincaid has allowed me to form this community and all of these relationships and these connections. I think that going off to college in a way, starting a new chapter of my life is a way of like thanking Kincaid for all that I've gotten out of it and showing that I can put my education and all these wonderful resources that I've gotten here to good use and help others with it.
Beautifully said. Jack, how about you?
I would say I'm most excited, but also it's bittersweet. But to finish off my time with the Falcon in creating magazines. So the last issue is one focus for seniors. And so that's been really fun to put together lately because I've gotten to talk to basically the whole grade about various aspects of the magazine that they're going to be featured in. So it's been really fun, and I'm excited to publish that.
So, Jack, without any spoilers, can you give us perhaps some things the reader is going to be surprised by in the next issue of The Falcon?
One thing that's going to be most surprising is, I mean, I wouldn't even call it surprising. I think it's more just a tale of how well Kincaid brings us all together because every single senior talks about how much they enjoy the senior center, and we have like a collage of everyone's favorite memories from the senior center, and pictures to go along with it. And I think that's the best part about the magazine.
I don't think this is the last time we're going to hear from Gretchen and Jack, both at Kincaid and in the world. So let's give you a big thanks, both of you. Gretchen, Jack, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for sharing a little bit about your story.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Quinby and Norma, a huge thank you to what you do beyond podcasting, to what you do every day and have done every day for helping our students be successful.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
That's a wrap for today. The Perch will return in 2 weeks with new conversations and stories about education, leadership, and community. Be sure to follow the Kincaid School on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Also, The Perch is now available on the Spotify podcast platform. Finally, check out Kincaid's website and read the Falcon Flyer for more on how Kincaid supports our students and our community throughout the year. Thanks again for joining us on The Perch.